30 years ago, the Luxor rose from the Las Vegas sands as an icon of themed ambition, crowned by the world's brightest beam. Today, that beacon barely cuts the night, and inside, guest horror stories, injury lawsuits, and vanishing standards hint at something more troubling than faded glamour. How did this legendary pyramid fall from wonder to warning? To answer that, we need to trace Luxor's unraveling from its earliest design to the corporate choices still putting visitors at risk. When the Luxor opened in 1993, it promised a full-throttle plunge into ancient Egypt, giant statues, a sphinx guarding the entrance, and a Nile River ride winding through the atrium. Hieroglyphs lined the walls and guests floated past animatronic pharaohs and glowing obelisks. For years, the pyramid's identity was not just the shape or the beam, it was the immersive, unapologetic theming that set it apart from every other casino on the Strip. By the late 2000s, the pyramid's owners saw a different future. Starting in 2007, MGM Mirage began stripping away the Egyptian fantasy piece by piece. The Nile ride, once a signature attraction, closed quietly. Sarcophagi and statues disappeared from public view, some sent to storage, others sold or discarded. Themed restaurants and family attractions gave way to generic bars, nightclubs, and traveling exhibitions. Hieroglyphs faded under coats of neutral paint. The Sphinx and obelisk remained outside, but inside the transformation was stripped and unmistakable. This was not just a design update. Across Las Vegas, a new trend was taking hold. Themed resorts, once the city's calling card, were being refitted for a more uniform, adult-focused market. Luxor's shift was part of a larger move to chase convention dollars and nightlife, with less emphasis on family entertainment or immersive storytelling. The stated goal was to cut costs, modernize, and appeal to a broader, less niche crowd. But the pyramid's bones never changed. The vast atrium still echoed with the absence of its former spectacle. Between 2007 and 2011, the detheming accelerated. The last traces of the Nile ride vanished. Giant statues that once greeted guests in the lobby were removed or boxed up. Corridors that once glowed with themed lighting and hieroglyphic detail became stretches of plain carpet and beige walls. Planners and designers called it a necessary evolution. But for many, the result was a hotel caught between identities, an iconic exterior masking a hollowed-out interior. As the years passed, the Luxor's unique character faded. What had once been a destination for spectacle now felt like another aging casino with little to set it apart beyond its shape. The cost savings were clear, but the loss ran deeper. The pyramid that once promised adventure now offered little more than a discounted room rate. And the detheming marked the first visible crack in the Luxor's once impenetrable mystique. Is saving money worth the growing risks inside this pyramid? Outside, the pyramid still dominates the skyline, its sharp angles and the lingering sphinx promising something extraordinary. But for anyone stepping through the doors, the illusion begins to fracture. The lobby, once filled with towering pharaohs and glowing hieroglyphs, now feels like a generic convention space. Beige walls stretch where murals once told stories. The only clues to the building's identity are the slanted windows and the distant hum of the sky beam above. Guests arrive expecting the fantasy of ancient Egypt, but the spectacle ends at the curb. Inside, fluorescent lights, plain carpets, and a patchwork of modern furniture could belong to any mid-range hotel. The themed restaurants are gone, replaced by chain bars and traveling exhibits that have nothing to do with the pyramid's past. For some, the disconnect is jarring. Reviews from the past year describe a sense of disappointment. One guest wrote that it was a regular hotel trapped in a famous shell. The contrast between exterior and interior is more than cosmetic. It shapes every expectation. Travelers who remember the Luxor's heyday walk the corridors searching for the adventure they were promised, only to find stretches of worn carpet and faded paint. The once unique atrium, stripped of its animatronic river and statues, now echoes with emptiness. Even the elevators, angled to follow the pyramid's slope, feel out of place against the blandness that surrounds them. This mismatch is not just about nostalgia. It is about trust. When a hotel sells itself as an icon, guests expect care and attention to detail. But the further you get from the front entrance, the more that promise unravels. Online, guests post photos of dark hallways, aging fixtures, and rooms that feel neglected. Some say the only thing Egyptian left is the shape of the building. The pyramid still draws crowds for its novelty, but inside the spectacle is only skin deep. The expectation gap grows wider with every step, leaving guests to wonder what else might be hiding beneath the surface. The Luxor's identity crisis is not just about lost theming. It is a warning sign that something deeper may be slipping away. A guest checks in, drawn by the promise of a famous pyramid on the Strip. But the first impression comes not from the view, and it comes from the hallway. The lights are so dim, the carpet looks almost black. An industrial fan drones by the wall. Warning signs block part of the corridor, and a bucket sits under a steady drip from the ceiling. The air smells damp, tinged with something sour. On the floor, a broken ceiling tile lies in pieces, and no one has picked it up. Inside the room, the details pile up. Dust collects in the corners and across the dresser. The bathroom door will not close all the way, and the latch that should secure the entry is missing. A cracked tile runs along the floor by the tub. The toilet hisses and leaks at the base, leaving a puddle that grows with every flush. The guest wipes a finger across the nightstand, and dust comes away in thick streaks. Photos from the stay show more than just wear and tear. The ice bucket is wet and smells musty. Linens are stained, and the tub is ringed with old grime. The guest documents everything: the missing security latch, the water damage, the broken fixtures. They call the front desk about the leak. Maintenance never arrives. By morning, the hallway smells worse. The bucket is still filling, and the broken tile is still on the floor. This is not a one-off. Recent TripAdvisor reviews list active ceiling leaks, cracked tiles, missing hardware, and rooms described as unsafe. Some guests mention moving out early or demanding refunds. The pattern is hard to ignore. Each photo, each complaint, adds another layer to the story. A hotel where the basics, light, cleanliness, and security can no longer be taken for granted. The Luxor's pyramid is not just for show. Its sloping sides demand a rare kind of elevator. Instead of the usual vertical shafts, the Luxor relies on inclinators, elevators that travel diagonally along the building's edge, matching the pyramid's steep angle. This system, once a marvel of engineering, now stands as one of the hotel's most persistent hazards. Unlike standard elevators, inclinators face constant mechanical strain. Every ride puts pressure on parts that must work at an angle, from guide rails to door sensors. Over 3 decades, that stress adds up. Industry experts warn these systems need relentless upkeep to stay safe. A Las Vegas injury law firm singles out Luxor's inclinators as a risk, citing sudden stops, jolting movements, and misalignment at the landings, each a potential cause for falls or injuries if maintenance slips. For guests, the ride itself has become a test of nerve. In 2025, a travel vlogger described the elevators as some of the most janky elevators I have experienced in an MGM hotel, comparing the sensation to the Tower of Terror. He filmed shaking cars, uneasy faces, and passengers quietly hoping the ride would end without incident. The rating was 2 out of 10. The pyramid's age only compounds the problem. Original inclinators from 1993 now face the wear of millions of trips, carrying guests up and down the slanted core. Parts are specialized, repairs are costly, and any delay in maintenance can turn a minor issue into a safety emergency. State and county codes require regular inspections, but compliance alone does not guarantee comfort or security. In a building where every trip to your room means stepping into an aging angled elevator, the line between novelty and danger grows thinner by the year. For many, the thrill of riding a pyramid elevator has given way to a new question. Is it safe to step inside at all? A former housekeeper steps out of the shadows, her voice steady but edged with frustration. For years, she worked the pyramid's endless corridors, pushing a cart from one dim room to the next. She remembers a backlog of work orders, leaky pipes, broken fixtures, and carpets stained and never replaced. Sometimes the list of repairs stretched for pages. There were never enough hands to keep up. Management told staff to do what they could, wipe, patch, and move on. If a bathroom fan rattled or a door would not lock, the solution was often a quick fix, not a new part. She describes being told to cover water stains with air freshener and towels, to clean around damaged tiles, rather than wait for repairs that might never come. During busy weekends, whole sections went untouched because the team was too small. She recalls rooms that sat empty for days, not because they were being deep cleaned, but because there were not enough workers to turn them over. The pressure to keep rooms online was constant. If a guest complained, she filed a ticket, but the maintenance crew was stretched thin and tickets piled up. She remembers the engineering staff joking about Band-Aid solutions, temporary patches that bought time but never solved the underlying problem. She says they were told to make it look good enough for the next guest. That was it. Over time, she watched the hotel's pride fade. The pyramid's reputation for spectacle gave way to a culture of doing more with less, and the staff's efforts to keep up with decay became a losing battle. Her account echoes what guests have reported for years. A hotel where the first response to trouble is to hide it, not fix it, and where cost control matters more than comfort or safety. Court records from April 2021 show a sudden spike in legal action against the Luxor. That month, 3 separate lawsuits were filed over alleged bed bug infestations at Las Vegas hotels, 2 of them naming the pyramid. Plaintiffs described nights spent in rooms where they awoke to bites and rashes, then faced the cost of discarded luggage and medical care. One case involved a couple staying from June 7th to 10th. Another involved a guest bitten during a July weekend. Their filings argue that the hotel failed to provide a safe, sanitary environment, a basic duty under Nevada law. These are not isolated complaints. Attorneys who handle injury claims at the Luxor point to a pattern: slip and fall cases tied to worn carpets, elevator injuries linked to malfunctioning inclinators, and security lapses in dim hallways. Each new lawsuit forces the pyramid's problems into the open, naming not just the symptoms, bites, bruises, broken bones, but the systems behind them. The legal filings stack up alongside guest reviews and maintenance reports, creating a paper trail of accountability. For the owners and operators, every new case means more than just bad publicity. It is a direct cost, a risk to reputation, and a warning that the line between budget hotel and hazardous property is now drawn in courtrooms as well as online. In 2016, MGM Resorts pulled the trigger on a financial maneuver that would change Luxor's future. The company spun off its real estate into a separate entity called MGM Growth Properties, and it turned itself from owner to tenant almost overnight. The pyramid and its land were now assets on a REIT's balance sheet, while MGM agreed to pay rent and keep the place running under a triple net lease. That meant MGM was on the hook for every repair, tax, and insurance bill, every leaky pipe, every failing elevator, every patch of worn carpet. MGM was on the hook. When VICI Properties bought out MGM Growth in April 2022 for $17.2 billion, the deal included a fresh 25-year lease covering Luxor and other MGM Strip properties. Annual rent across the portfolio was $860 million, but the lease terms barely changed. VICI collects rent, MGM operates the hotel, and covers nearly all capital expenditures, including major repairs and system upgrades. Rent flows to the landlord. Operations and costs stay with the operator. For a 30-year-old pyramid, that is a heavy lift. Under this structure, deep fixes such as new HVAC systems, elevator modernization, and plumbing overhauls are expensive line items that eat into MGM's profit, especially at a property positioned as a budget option. The landlord's priority is steady rent, not the guest experience. The operator, squeezed by fixed payments and thin margins, faces strong incentives to delay or minimize big repairs. Industry analysts point out that capital expenditures at older, lower revenue properties often get deferred, while flagship resorts absorb most of the renovation dollars. For Luxor, the result is a cycle where cosmetic changes take precedence and underlying problems linger, sometimes for years. The money flows up, but the repairs lag behind. In the shadow of the pyramid, the economics of the asset-light era leave little room for deep renewal. Clark County inspectors walk the halls of the Luxor every year, clipboards in hand, checking fire doors, exit signs, and alarm panels. The rules are clear: emergency lighting must work, sprinklers cannot be blocked, and every elevator ride should be as safe as the day the pyramid opened. But in a 30-year-old hotel, passing inspection means meeting the minimum. County records show that life safety systems are reviewed, but only when permits are pulled or complaints are filed does a deeper check usually happen. Routine violations like dim corridor lights or water intrusion are supposed to be fixed within days. Yet guest complaints and lawsuit filings suggest that problems often linger far longer than the paperwork claims. a hotel safety expert reviewing recent guest photos and legal filings, points to a pattern that raises eyebrows. Darkened hallways, missing door latches, persistent leaks, and aging elevators. None of these alone guarantee catastrophe, but together they signal a property at the edge of acceptable risk. The expert's verdict is blunt. It is not just about code. It is about whether people feel safe sleeping behind those doors. Online, rumors swirl about a possible closure or redevelopment as early as late 2025. Some guests mention hearing about a shutdown from staff. Others speculate in reviews and forums. But there is no formal announcement, no county filing, no demolition permit. For now, the Luxor remains open, still booking rooms, still collecting rent. The inspectors have not pulled the plug. The question is, with so many warning signs stacking up, how close is the pyramid to crossing a line that cannot be ignored? At a certain point, the price of a cheap room starts to look like a gamble and a growing risk. Every year, millions still check in beneath the dimming pyramid beam, betting comfort and safety against a bargain price. As corporate owners cut deeper, the line between affordable and dangerous grows thinner. Las Vegas thrives on calculated risks, but some gambles shouldn't be left to chance. In today's Vegas, your room rate might be the smallest bet you make. Let me know what you think in the comments below.